about continuous achievement through ongoing collaborative professional development. And I am the National Director for Technology Centers at Work, and I was a principal, I was a CTE teacher, a principal, and then also a state director for CTE in Kentucky. And so I have this position where I get to travel around, but I will tell you, I've got it going on in Pennsylvania. And I don't say that lightly. I have been to your centers, much like the one here, and I'm telling you, you all have some centers that I tout nationally. So you all really understand CTE. When you can go to a center and you see real heavy equipment operating and not just stimulated stuff, and you all got students doing it, you all understand CTE. And when you've got centers that are or comprehensive centers, and the teachers tell me, oh no, you don't mess with CTE here because you go somewhere else, and they're pulling them out of CTE to do academic catch-up. So I hail you all, praise you for doing a great job. We have some essential questions that we want to ask you, because professional development is sometimes very challenging for individuals, and it's seen as a threat to some individuals, but it's not. We all have growth areas. I'm much older than I look, so, but I still have room for growth. My hairdresser says, you ought to go gray. And I said, no, nobody appreciates, no pun intended, nobody appreciates gray hair. They don't appreciate the wisdom that comes with that. So I work on this color. But is your professional development process planned?
Well, they told us we look distinguished. You don't look great.
You do as a male, us females. Hey, look, the females are going, you're so right, you're so right. Yeah. But somehow men get better with age, and females, they just get old. Is your professional development process planned with a focus? Do you have a hodgepodge, or do you have a focus, which is what we're going to be talking to you about today? Think about that in your mind. Do you just grab this one because it's offered? Do you grab this one because it's cheaper? Do you have somebody come back in and do some coaching after that professional development? How many of you are teachers? You get it? You go to professional development and you say, oh yeah, I'm so excited, and then you get back and you forget it, and then nobody ever asks you that again. It's kind of a waste of time, right? Yeah, there you go. So what apprehensions do you have about a designed professional development plan covering several days? Oh my Lord, they're not just sending me for a 1-hour PD thing. They're going to, over a period of time, yeah, they're going to support you. That's what that means. Does that sound a little better? Do we all agree that sounds a little better? I'm going to have some coaching. How about what concerns do you believe teachers have about professional development? Let me hear from the crowd. Yeah.
You jump on whatever the hot topic is, and then you never hear it about it again. The next year you jump on the next hot topic.
And
you never complete any of those.
So in the little faculty lounge, it's like, this too shall pass. Don't worry. So you bring a new teacher on board, and us old teachers are saying, don't worry about it. That's just what everybody else is doing. Just hang on, it'll pass too. Well, that's not good professional development. Alice is going to talk to you about what you do to build capacity with professional development.
By the way, Linda, before we get to this, I gotta say this. I'm gray, but I love the fact I still have hair.
So, with that being said, we're up at the northeastern part of the state. We're in Susquehanna, Wyoming County. We have 7 school districts. One of them drive an hour one way to get there. So they come in just their senior only, but some come in 10th, 11th, and 12th. So with all 7 of them, we have to be very, very selective on how we can make sure we meet their academic requirements and also ours too. So we have 2 buildings. We have building A and B right now at the Career Center. And it's very fortunate because some of the programs, we have an open door policy, which means we'll accept anybody into the program if you have the ability to benefit and it's your career objective. However, the sending districts know that if someone is not working up to their ability, I'm not going to ask my teacher to spend 80% of their time working on a student that doesn't want to be there. They will then go back to their home district. And I just shared this the other day. I had a student that we're not where you can just, it's a privilege to come to the Career Center. So like a student will come in and let's say they put their head down and not working up to potential. I will call the students in and I will say, for example, do you really want to be in the Career Center? And you say, yes. I'll say, but your actions aren't showing me that. So I can't ask the teacher to spend a lot of time with someone that doesn't want to be here. So, and I say you have to be mature to come to the Career Center because it's different than regular ed. Like regular ed, I can see who's out of their seat, so I know who's not where they're supposed to be. In Career Centers, you get up, you move around, you go to the shops, you go to the labs, you go to the restrooms, so you have to have a maturity level. And the interesting thing is that they'll say, Dr. Davis, please don't send me back, please don't make me go back. And I'll say, let's try 2 weeks monitoring because you have to have a maturity level to come here. I have never had to send someone back because they said, I really want to be here, Dr. Davis. And I'll say, next year maybe you can come back. But they have made out, after the 2-week monitoring, if the teacher sees an improvement and we see an improvement, they do get to stay. There is our group. There's just part of our group there. And I do have an amazing staff. I have to tell you, when I hire somebody, and my staff can tell you this absolutely by this way, attitude is the most important thing. The attitude of the teacher determines the climate of the classroom. If you don't have a good attitude, I don't want you as a teacher. Second is flexible. You have to be a team player. We have 7 school districts. 3 may have a snow day that day. So then the following day you're going to have to reteach it. So you have to be flexible. Team player, believe you can educate all students. Special ed, gifted, and everybody in between, if they have their ability to benefit and it's their career objective. And the last is your content area, because your content area, either you have it or you don't. The first 4, we can tell whether you've got it or not. And when I interview, I ask them questions to find out, really, are they saying what they think I want to hear? Or are they telling me the truth? Like I will say, where do you put the bad kids in your class when you have them? If they say, right up here by me, then I know it's not good. You're going to hover that child, we're going to quit. And then communication with parents is very, very important, very important. They have a phone log book that my teachers have to call all the parents the first week of school, say, hello, I'm Dr. Alice Davis. I am Johnny, your son's teacher. I'm glad to have him in my program. I want to communicate with you. How is the best way we communicate? Do you want a text, an email? Do you want a phone call? What's the best number to reach you? That goes volumes away. Anytime you call business and industry, that is real important too. So I think the communication is a very important piece of this too. So again, when you look at it, I do have an amazing staff, and they know that, and the attitude is so important.
In Alice's case, what she does is really focus professional development. She does not jump on the latest trends, and the whole school focuses on professional development with core beliefs. And I'm going to do this quickly because she's going to get into explaining each one. But here are those core beliefs. The first one is that there has to be a whole group thematic concept. That means administration, faculty, and staff have to be focused on the same thing. It's thematic with them. Second core belief is that the whole group PD is continuous year after year. Even though something is done one year, it becomes a responsibility of anybody who comes in there to do PD that the next year it is referenced or it's brought into the next year, whatever it may be. And as I said, she'll talk about this at length later. Third core belief is this: there must be some individualized activity. There has to be. 2 years ago, Alice and I did this presentation somewhere, I don't remember where, and the question was, for me, because I worked there frequently through the year, question was, does she assign you, or do you have people ask asked to go. Well, it's both things. Sometimes she will say to me, I want you to work with Joe Jones, teacher in a subject, and other times she opens the door for teachers to say, I want to see Dr. Perna whenever he is here. This is the issue I'm dealing with. I know about it ahead of time, and I go and work with them. Fourth core belief is this: it has to be research-based and current. I don't want you to misunderstand. We're not talking about just jumping on trends. We're talking about what is the current research. I read an article yesterday in Edutopia. I don't know how many of you ever read Edutopia. It is not a refereed journal, but it's one right now that is used in education frequently. And the article was saying that many of the former trends of years ago that we call old stuff are making their way back into schools, and here's why. Because the kids today see them as new. For example, the teacher that can really lecture well, they like. And that we are not used to that because we have taught them other things. But I think the key is it's new to the kids. That's a new thing to them. So she wants it research-based and current. The fifth core belief is PD must be engaging and interactive. She makes it very clear to anybody that comes in there to do professional development, if you don't engage my staff, I can't use you. We have a couple of their staff members here today. Our opening in service day this year, they had to do a project throughout most of the morning with fuzzy sticks and a whole bunch of other stuff at their table, but to show them how problem-based learning really does work with students. And her sixth belief is this: professional development must result in obvious change at the instructional level, or instructional methodology, or at the instructional level. She wants to see teachers change what they do. She wants evidence of it, and she asked them to do that. So what I will share with you is this. These are some of the topics she's going to take over. These are topics that have been thematic topics over the last 8 years that I have worked there. I've worked there more than 8 years. But they have been thematic topics. Do not misunderstand it, though. That does not mean that we do literacy instructional strategies in year 3 there in purple, and then when we go to assessment, forget about those. They have to be incorporated into assessment. It's a complete cyclical approach. The spiraling curriculum is at work all the time. So, Alice,
yep, I get
yours.
And I think you have to realize when we hire people, individuals and teachers, you want to keep them. You don't want to get them for a year or two, spend all that money and lose them. So I believe you really have to make sure they know what the expectations are, but also realize they might have just come out of an auto body shop. You start saying you're going to have to work with the Keystone exams, the NOCTI, you're going to have an Occupational Advisory Committee. All these things, you're going to scare them. So our belief at the Career Center is that we need to pay the teachers what they're worth. I don't want them to be doing 2 other jobs and get burned out and not be able to stay. So that's number 1. Number 2, I think that it needs to be that they're at different levels. And you have to have safety nets in place to help everyone. And this is true, and it was about 15 years ago here at this conference here. I was a director, and I realized that teachers were at different levels and they were struggling. So what I did is I heard Dr. Perna speak, and I thought, okay, he's what I'm looking for. He can work with the teachers. He's not going to be above them, but he can talk to them, not at them. So I remember going back to my faculty and saying, okay, I have this gentleman, Dr. Perna, who's going to work with this. And the teacher, who no longer is there, said, you mean we're going to have a doctor come in who doesn't know anything about career centers telling us what to do? Again, it's just somebody going to be lecturing to us. So I said, let's make a deal. We'll try him for a year. If it doesn't work out, he won't stay. I'll find somebody else. So 15 years later, he's still there. But I'll tell you why. It's because sometimes when you come in, you don't know what you don't know, and you have to make sure you help them realize what they do need to know. So it's almost like the backward design. You have your NOCTI scores, you have all these expectations. And one of the things you said is so true. You cannot have an in-service just to say you met a need. I had an in-service, I covered that, we're done with that. I had another in-service, I covered it, done with that. And I think that it's important that you ask the staff what do they need to know. But as administrators, when I observe, I see where they might be weak at. So the perfect example, I'll send an email out to the staff. Would anybody like to meet with Dr. Perna? And you don't, and it's not an evaluation. He can meet with you privately. He can help you with anything you need help with. But then I may go through and say, grading might need to be, or assessment might need to be. So then I will suggest that he works with them. But the big thing is asking the staff, what do they want? What help do they need? I just did it again this year, October 28th. The staff had to tell me, what areas do you think we need help in? And because of the curriculum and the changing and stuff like that, we do have in-services every Wednesday from 2:15 to 3:30. The teachers give up their prep, so then Friday I let them leave a half hour early, and it works out wonderful. And if we go over, I have never had a teacher say, oh, 3:30, I'm out of here. So sometimes we go to 20 to 4 o'clock. So again, you can tell them they're here for the right reasons. But again, development curriculum, you know, when you talk about literacy, numeracy, you know, it's important, and understanding why. Business and industry need that. Business and industry and our occupational advisory have said to me, Dr. Davis, they're very good with the technical skills, but they need the academic skills. And remember way back where students that went to the VOTEC were students that were never going to go to college. They weren't that smart, so they're the ones. That has changed so much now. We have to do the academic integration. So business and industry are saying, that's wonderful, because they need to have those skills to be successful too. So we do have a lot of in-services. And again, we're fortunate to have coaches coming up. Literacy, numeracy, and writing in the content area come to our school. So what happens is every teacher will be on a focus group. For an example, we had somebody for literacy come in. In the morning, they met with the coach until from 8 to 11:30. Then they have lunch. Then after that, the coach will walk through the program areas, the school to see. Then after that, they will do an in-service. That focus group has to then share with the rest of the staff what they picked up from that literacy coach to be able to do that. So everyone is involved in different ones. So we just have a literacy, a numeracy, and we just have writing in the content area. And the nice thing is they give you samples of what to look for, how to do rubrics. Again, you know, sometimes looking at this thinking, how can I do all this? There's so much going on. There's so much that we're working on. But again, I think the important thing is to ask your teachers what they need and looking at their occupation, their jobs that they're working on. And again, it can't be a one and done thing, you know. The biggest thing I would say is that we really have to support the teachers. Like, I give you an example, and we used this earlier. I had some teachers came in shortly after they started, and they said, Dr. Davis, can I tell you something? I said, absolutely. And they said, I don't know how to type. I can't type. I don't know how to type. So we had a business teacher teach them privately, the ones that needed that, to type. Because I think if we don't, then we're forgetting the importance of, we need them, we want them, but there's some things that they really don't know about. And again, if they have the right attitude, everything else will fall in place or whatever. A big thing too is assessing. I tell them that I have to go to the sending districts and give them a reason why what we're doing, the value of what we're doing. For an example, they may say, Dr. Davis, I have to keep the student back because they're failing math. You can't have them this year. So they're going to go back to their school, get a double dose of a subject they don't like, and maybe drop out. So we get to share with them, but we're doing academic integration. And so we do the literacy and numeracy, and I give them an example all the time. 8 years ago, a student came up to me who would normally is not an excited student, said, Dr. Davis, I am so excited. And I said, well, what's going on? He said, not only can I say the word Pythagorean theorem, I know what it means. He said, we're building the house and I'm using it on the steps. He said, before, to be honest, all it was numbers and letters on the wall. Didn't mean anything to me. I didn't know what it meant. So I believe in education, if it goes in, or knowledge, any kind of knowledge, if it goes in, it has to have a hook to stay there, or you're going to lose it. There's no reason to hang on to it. So that's why contextual learning is so important, and that's why we do a lot in the public, for the public. In fact, when you come to our school, and I've said this, you know, we talk about the taxpayer. There's only 25% of the taxpayers in our area that have children coming to school. The other 75 are already gone, or they don't have children. So here's what I tell when I try to market or brand up the school. You can come in with your truck, pickup truck, with your weed whacker and four-wheeler in the back, and drop it off at Small Engines, and they'll change the oil and sharpen the blades. Then 2 weeks earlier, you had a little fender bender with a deer. And so you go down to Auto Body, and they're going to give you an estimate to fix your truck. And then you heard about this great business incubation program we're starting, and you're thinking, I want to be my own boss. I'm going to start my own business. So then you want to talk to Dan McGrath, who runs the business incubation. And then he starts talking to you about S corporation, C corporation, limited liability, a business plan, and you get a headache, a real bad headache. So you think, I need a massage. I am so stressed out. So then you go down to the massage area. They give you a nice massage. And then you leave there and realize, I haven't had my hair done for a while and I have to go to a meeting. So then you go across the hall to get your hair done. And you keep in mind, we're nonprofit, so it only costs a couple bucks for a haircut. So then you come down the hall and you smell the food in the restaurant. You think, oh, I'm hungry, I haven't eaten in a while, but you don't have any money. So you stop at the ATM machine, you get some money out of the ATM machine, and then you go into the restaurant to eat. Once you're in the restaurant, you're looking at your receipt and you realize, I don't have as much money as I thought in my bank account. So your heart starts to palpitate. We don't know if you're having a heart attack or not. So then what we do is we get healthcare involved. And healthcare says, no, you're not having a heart attack. You're just stressed out because you're like $2,000 short in your account or less than you thought. Then after you realize you're going to live, then you go pick up your truck and go over to carpentry and pick up the doghouse that you had made, and then you leave. I tell you that because there is so much more that we do and the value of what we do to give back to the community. And that's why integration, academic, sharing with the public, I tell people there are 4 audiences we work for: high school students, adult learners, business and industry, and the community. Business and industry will always tell you these core skills are important. These are skills that they have to have. And they said, we let people go because they can't do the math, they can't do the integration they need. Professional development needs to be each one individually. You can have veteran teachers that, I got this, I know this, I don't need to know anymore. And then you get the newbies that say, I don't even know what we're doing here. So I tell my teachers, the first year you want to just survive. Second year you get it. By the third year you have it figured out. But again, it has to be, we offer it in small groups, large groups, individual instruction, whatever you need with that. And again, it's classroom management. The nice thing about being a counselor is that when I walk through, students will be happy to show me what they're doing. They talk about what's going on. And the teachers are very proud of what they're doing too. For an example, on our NOCTI scores, we share it with everybody. We have the dashboard. Every teacher knows what everybody else got in the NOCTI scores. The reason being, let's say somebody's better than the other. You can say, hey, I didn't do too well on this one. Can you help me with it? Because again, we're known as one entity, so we have to share and support each other. We also have to be able to share it in services. So when the teachers come to these conferences, they have to go back and share their in-service. What did they pick up from other teachers? And also, what are they going to do? And with their evaluations, like with all these coaches coming in, for your SLO, I need to know something that you picked up that you're implementing in your class and what you're doing with it and how you're using it. I need evidence to show that it wasn't just someone coming in saying, okay, we had a literacy coach here, we had a numeracy coach. You have to show me what you did. Plus, you have to share it in an in-service from the focus group, what you picked up from those coaches there to make sure it worked. And again, everything has to be research-based. Like I said, the NOCTI scores, the grading. The goal is to make sure that, business and industry need us. They need our skilled workers. They need students. And so we have to make sure we give them the individuals that they need in the program. And then, like I said, this is where Dr. Kern, we really work closely with the coaches, knowing that we're here to support you. I know that there's things you may not know. You're not a math teacher, you're not an English teacher, but you do teach that in your content area. So when you teach it in your content area, that's only going to help them back to the sending districts.
Just a couple of points on this. She makes it very clear to any professional developer, and they have many that come in beyond me, you absolutely must be engaging and interactive. You've got to do that. So it becomes our role as professional developers to engage the teachers in group activities, if there are groups, it may be small groups or large groups, but we don't lecture them. It also may be with an individual teacher to really engage that teacher in conversation. I never go in there and train. We don't do that. It is very, very collaborative in what we do. They also vary developers who offer sessions, so it's not just me, It's not just somebody from SREB. It's not just Todd Luke. She varies the people that come in. And if the teachers ask for specific help, they're given the time, but again, the developer must engage that teacher. I don't sit down and tell them what to do. In fact, my approach is always questions with reflection on the question. And I try to pose reflective questions to them at all times. Have you ever tried this? Have you ever tried that? And then, of course, they also expect teachers to attend conferences and bring back and share out with the rest of the group what they have done. The point that I would make is all professional development must be engaging activity. It cannot be strictly lecture and tell them what to do. That's not what she wants, and she makes it very clear to all of us that she does not want that.
Okay. And then to really, like I said, we do classroom observation. The teachers know right now what I'm looking for. I'm going to do my walkthrough observation. They have the phone log books that they have to call parents beginning of the school year saying, hello, I'm Dr. Davis, I'm your child's teacher. You know, how do I communicate with you? I'm glad to have you in my program. You can contact me. How do I contact you? That starts off in the very beginning. Something from this SLO that you picked up. Some of your best practices are part of it too. And again, and then your observation. And so looking at them, we actually one year did where they videotaped themselves and then critiqued it or whatever. So again, teachers are coming up with ideas, and that's their strategy, telling me, Dr. Davis, this is what I'd like to do. This is some of the things that I'm looking at. And again, realizing it. And then I share this with sending school districts. We were very fortunate to have Senator Toomey come to our school, and also Representative Mike Tobash come up and take a tour of our programs and see them. And see, these are good students, these are quality students, and really that has helped parents saying, you know, you must be doing something right for them to come up there and listen to you. I said, you know what's right now, the reason you're, I think one of the main reasons you're listening, because the Chamber of Commerce is saying we need workers, and statistics shows right now, by the year 2035, at the current rate we're going, we're only going to get 76% of our Social Security. So, which means we all have to have a vested interest in our workforce that's out there. So, we have more employers asking for employees, students, than we have students available for. So again, I think the need is out there that they really see we need to, but the teachers know what the evaluations are going to be like. And they're very good, they're very competitive. Like, we'll have them shared in in-service. Like, what is your best practice? So now what we're doing, ours are going to be teacher-led in-services with all of the academic integration. The teachers have to collaborate together with their focus group. You have to share with the staff. So it's going to be teacher-driven, not administration-driven. And again, we use in-service. We used to have Wednesdays staying later on to be able to. We don't do that now. We took that out of the contract. They had 4 extra days they stayed, but Wednesdays they stay in. We have some days we're off completely that they come in. The beginning of this school year, we had in-service, we had mental health people come in, we had people coming in just to talk to the individuals about that. Again, I'm going to tell you, and it's not because Linda's here, but the coaches are phenomenal. Sandy Heim is one of our coaches, and you know what? The best thing is that we are so busy in our work. Like, just for an example, we see like the equipment grants coming up, and anybody who's working on the equipment grant and the supplemental grant and the Safe to Say and the pre-knock, you have all this stuff going on, and you're trying to get by. She breaks it down very even, like, don't forget this, don't forget this, we need to do this. That's important. And then she goes to share with the other teachers. And let's say she'll go in and say, you know, Tom, you really should go visit this school because they're doing what you're doing, but you seem to be struggling. If any of my teachers say, Dr. Davis, I'd like to go visit another school, absolutely, you know, because that's important. That's how you share best practice and network with each other. Real important. And even the coaches, every one of the coaches that come up are engaging. They're not talking down, they're friendly, they've got great ideas, they're sharing. The material they give us, the rubrics, the ideas, the staff comes back with, Dr. Davis, they were amazing. Dr. Davis, when they're coming back, Dr. Davis, we only have them for 3 more days. Can't we get them for a couple of weeks? Only if we get them stuck in a snowstorm here, we're going to have them for a couple of weeks because they have other places to go. But again, I think it's who it is that talks to you and how they talk to you about what you're doing. Budget line, we use our Perkins money to pay for this. It pays for our para-educators, and it pays for any time that we have to pay for consultant. And again, that's money well spent because of the fact that You know, and in fact, our Perkins money did go up a little bit, but I think that to meet the needs, we have over 40% special ed in our school district. And so to be able to meet the needs of everything, and we all know that lawsuits are happen more often in special ed than any place else. So we want to make sure they meet the IEPs, the 504s, and make sure we read them, modify them, and understand what they're all about. And again, with these academic things and the outside consultants, I like to talk to the superintendents and say, you know, this is what we're doing. I still believe there are people out there that we only teach how to build a birdhouse, you know, and how to make hamburgers and hot dogs. If you go on our website, we do beachcombers. We have really intensive menus. You know, we're building houses. That's a marketing tool. These are students, and I brag all the time, these are students in 10th, 11th, and 12th building a house that sold for $280,000. And it's not how fast it takes 3 years, but inspectors will come in and say, COG will come in and say, this is why it has to be this way because of the permit. This is why you have to have the septic system because of this. It's a continuing learning process going on there. And so it's important. And the outside consultants, because other people coming in with perspectives that see things, know things, and understand things. If my teachers, like I said, ever asked to go visit another school, absolutely. And we have people that want to come visit our school, absolutely. I think that we have to share, we have to work together. And one of the big things is getting academic teachers to really realize all that we do. I think that when we have integrated with some of them, they're saying, I had no idea this is what you do. I had no idea the intensity, you know. I think that is going to be a real key to work with. So we're actually in the process of getting all of the elementary school teachers to take a tour, and then they're going to go back and visit. So that's one of our goals, to have all of our students be able to. And then we also have a career coach that's going to go to every one of our 7 districts in 7th, 8th, and 9th grade and go into an English class and talk about what we have to offer, and then offer them to come to our school district. Now, back before, sometimes the districts maybe didn't want to because they might have a lot of students want to come. So I would just say, I just want you to know that we're up for a 339 review, and they're going to ask, like, how did you guys come in, and what did you do for recruitment? And I hate to say that you wouldn't let your students come. We'll pay for the bus for you to come. So I shame them into saying, okay, Dr. Davis, we'll come. When can we come? You just tell us when you're available. We'll bring it through our programs. And that's where our ambassadors, we have ambassadors for students that actually help us kind of showcase and market what we do, which is real important with that. And some of the questions that I ask my coaches and stuff. So.
Before I go into these questions, I'm going to ask Alice to share with us just one thing. I know that I'm contracted to be in that school 17 and a half days this year. How many days do you have, Dr. Dickerson or whoever you're bringing in from SREB?
Sometimes 3 or 4 days a year for them. We just this time got writing in the content area, which was wonderful, wonderful. And you know what? I even said in the instructors to learn different things, like reading an article, and she had these sticky notes, and then it said, everybody read and write down 5 that are important words and put them in groups. And then she had A, B, and C, and you could see who the boss of the group was, like who had type A. You know, and you got to understand, like, you know, so when you run groups, like, it's always the same one. Don't let the same one rotate them. She had such great ideas. My staff were so enlightened. And the good thing is they're still excited about what they're doing, and that's important because that enthusiasm can share on and go back with the students, too.
How about Dr. Morelli? You have her come in, too.
Dr. Dickerson, we have Terry Lewis and Deb Cohen's come in.
So,
Himes come in.
how many days total do you have professional development going on in the school?
20, about 40.
That's the point that I'm trying to make. Now, not all of those days are with the entire group, but there's that much professional development takes place in that school. And it's a rural school in northern Pennsylvania, and it's an interesting concept of how much she believes in that. Now, about coaches, and then we're going to ask you some questions going back to our start. She wants to know the personality of the coach. She really interviews you. She doesn't go and hear a presentation and then make a decision, that's who I want to come in. She literally interviewed me before I went in. We sat down in a restaurant, we had a long talk. This was like weeks after she had seen me here. She does it with other people as well. She just doesn't bring you in because you have a hot topic and you're good at it. She wants to know the personality. She wants to know, can the coach speak on the teacher's level? That becomes critical. So, somewhere yesterday, I think in your presentation, a lady asked the question, what do you do to make sure the coach knows about your school and who your people are? She requires that, and here's what I would say to you. If you have a coach or a consultant coming in with a pre-developed package and says this will work for you, that person is not telling you the truth because they don't know if it'll work for you or not. If they don't know your culture, it's a problem. I spent half a year, the first year in her school, talking to Dan McGrath and talking to Kim and talking to Bruce about, tell me something about carpentry. What are you doing here? What kind of things? I wanted them to know I was interested in what they do, not what I have for them. I didn't want to go in with that recipe approach. All right. Another thing is, does the coach have a positive attitude? You have to. I think that's a given. My wife works in a school district. She says they have a coach coming in. I'm not going to mention his name. Coming in that they're paying $8,000 a day. And she said the teachers absolutely dislike the guy, but he's still coming in. Now they're spending $8 grand a day. That's a lot of money to put into differentiated instruction, and the people don't like him. Okay? Will the coach communicate with the administrator? I want to caution you. I communicate to a point. The teachers and I have a very confidential relationship also. I don't go running to tattletale on teachers, and she does not want that. That's critical with anybody coming in. That's very critical. And then finally, do you use professional discretion? It's the same thing. And I try very hard to do that. I'm at a point many teachers will say to me, I want to tell you something. It's never bad about you, Alice, but I want to tell you something so you understand this. It is professional discretion on my part, not to get too much of a that's wrong or you're way out of line or whatever. Plus, I'm there so much, you know, it's not my role to be an administrator either, which I had a history of being an administrator, but that's not my role. That is not what I do when I'm working with them. I would like to, this is the purpose of consultants. You want to share with them why you bring us in?
Let me add something too. When you talk about the coaches that are coming in, it's very important when I hook up one of my consultants, I tell them, I say, if you don't believe in CTE, you're not going to be doing any work for me. Because there are so many individuals that have, you know, sometimes, you know, they think of you as second class. We do not do that. And I also want to say, we don't charge $8,000 a day either. I can give you a whole lot of days for $8,000.
Yeah.
But I didn't want you to think that was me doing that. I just want you to know, we try to pair our individuals. It's like Dr. Perna said. You all know what you're doing. We recognize that. We're just going to help you with some strategies for some growth areas that you might have. So I want you to know we appreciate what you do, and you all are hard to find. So thank you for what you do. I just wanted to point that out.
I clicked the wrong button there when I asked Alice. Here's where we'd like to conclude. We'd like you to share with us. By the way, next session, Alice and Linda and I done this in a couple of conferences now. We're doing a completely interactive session with people about professional development. And it's things we're bringing up, and all the people in the group are going to be doing the talking, not us, because that's what we want. But I'm going to ask you this. Who in this group would say you have a professional development program process that it's planned with a specific focus and it runs through the year, other than you guys? We know you do. Anyone here feel that you have that would share that with us? Or if you've seen it, go ahead.
I feel that we do, yeah. Sometimes we struggle, I guess, as we do a lot of places. It's very strong at the beginning of the year. It does, it fizzles out because we all start running around doing other things. But we do have Mr. Luke. We have 6 core instructional beliefs. We have teacher-led professional developments, one CT and one academic that present in different sessions. And then through our walkthroughs and through Mr. Luke, we keep reinforcing those 6 beliefs and getting feedback from them. And then at every faculty meeting, we recognize 1 or 2 good practices that fit into the 6 beliefs. So,
Okay, so you're actually then sharing out as well, is that correct? Yes, all right. That's one thing that I've seen in several schools where I work, that share out concept, and they do that at Susquehanna. Okay, what apprehensions do you have about designing a professional development plan covering several days? Has anybody done that, or has anybody thought about it, and you have apprehensions about it? Would anyone share with us on that? I can tell you as a former administrator, number one apprehension, what's it going to cost me? What's it going to cost me to do several days? Any other thoughts that you have apprehensions about a long-term professional development concept? Go ahead.
It's going to be, if, like in the case of your wife's school, if it's a bad one and now it's a long-term one, now you're really stuck, and you're not going to get your money's worth, and teachers are going to hate it, and nothing that's going good is going to come out of that.
Okay. I will make you all feel a little better. It's not totally long-term. It's been 3 days a year for
But
2
3
years.
days of
That's $48,000.
Yeah.
3 bad days, you
Yes.
just like 20.
Yeah.
for the teachers, it can be really tough.
Okay, then finally, what concerns do you believe teachers have about professional development? You know, my friend Billy Donegan, who I've worked with in the past with the National Career Academy Coalition, Billy now retired, but she was from Texas, and she used to say, you can't accomplish anything until the skunk's out on the table. And you got to talk about it. So, what concerns do you believe teachers have about professional development? What are their concerns going into it? My last session I did, one of the things I pointed out, we asked the question, are you willing to give up everything you have to find out what you can have? Okay, that's a question as teachers, because do they walk into an in-service or professional development with, do I really have to do this? What am I going to get out of it? What are your thoughts? Is that what you get? Yeah, in the back there, you're kind of saying, is that right?
I mean,
Not you. I'm not asking about you.
as an educator, my biggest thing is I just don't want my time to be wasted. 'Cause
Okay. I don't want my time to be wasted. Now think about something she does. She goes to them to find out what they want. She does not dictate to them, this is what we will do. She's finding out what they want, what they think they need. Now obviously there are some mandated programs you have to do something with, but she's open about that. We have to do this. We have to do it. So that's critical. Go ahead.
This is the first year I can remember that I had an email and they asked, an administrator asked what we felt we needed training. And then on the flip side, I'm a school counselor, so I am in charge of the PSSA training, which is crazy. And I feel bad.
PSSA training?
That I feel bad for the teachers that have to sit there and listen to me.
Okay.
And like, even, this has been a wonderful workshop, but when I went home last night, I had 50 emails, and I'm thinking, you know, just being out of the classroom, or I'm a counselor, so out of the office, I'm thinking, when I get back, you know, all that time you have to be out, is, you know, a lot.
A very interesting point you're making, whether it is at a conference or whether it is a one-day in service. Many, many teachers are reluctant, not because they don't want to, but it's because how do I take care of what I don't do when I'm not there? How do I do that? And it's a thing that you have to think about in your professional development operation.
And one of the problems I've seen in the past has been, a lot of times schools do one size fits all. And in one of my old jobs, I oversaw guidance. And oftentimes what's being presented has nothing to do with the guidance counselors, and that they end up sitting through that and have nothing to do with it. We really need to make sure the professional development is designed for everybody, that it is individualized, that you have something set up for everybody, like on an in-service day, so it's not one size fits all. And that you're only feeding to the majority of the people, That's always been a big concern, and that survey of what needs, I think, is imperative.
You picked up on one of the things she says to our teachers is, what do you need? And then if Dan needs it individually and Kim doesn't, that's okay. Dan would meet with me or one of the other people, Kim would not. I'm working in 2 schools this year where teachers actually had a choice of what they, first of all, named topics. Then those topics were developed down to they have a choice of what PLC they're in with me. And they only meet 4 times through the year. It's not a whole day either. But they meet with me on that topic after they had chosen the topic because they want the teachers to have autonomy. Ed Leadership has a big thing this month on professional development. Number 1 thing, teachers will do professional development if they have autonomy in that process. And I think we recognize that.
The other thing, too, I want to just state that's important, I never micromanage my teachers, and I think that's important, and that's been the feedback of mine. Like, I do an extra interview with my staff at the end of the day, and I'll say, what did I do good this year? What can I improve on? What do you like that I still keep doing, and stuff like that. And again, one of the big things that always comes up, that you don't tell me exactly what to do, how to do it, when to do it. You know the backward design, you know what needs to be done, and you can do it that way. And I always kid with them, you know, money's always tight, but I said, if you tell me there's something you need, I will find a way to get the money for that. Whether it be at Walmart ringing a bell, maybe, you know, whatever it needs to be. But seriously, and I reach out to a lot of people. I'm going to tell you, for example, we had a lot of winners for Skills USA, FBLA, and HOSA. That was a lot of money. I reached out to an organization. They donated $5,000 because we had, it was Clabrac. It's an electric company that's owned by the customers, and they didn't, and if you don't claim your money, they gave us $5,000. We're having Brooke Harper come in and talk to our students on November the 19th on mental wellness, and I'm writing another letter saying, you know, with all the data in there saying, you know, you want to know if you can get back to a nonprofit, that the rate for suicide between 10-year-olds and 35 is the 2nd leading killer. You know, all this data, and that this would help us to be able to do professional development. Then I have United Way coming in after to talk about 211 where you can call. You put all this in there, like they have a hard time. They said, Dr. Davis, it's hard to say no because it makes sense. And I say to it could affect your children, your grandchildren. We want to make this a better place and be able to recognize. So reaching out a lot, like we have Community Foundation that gave us almost $50,000 this year for our students, for their tools, their safety glasses, steel-toed shoes, everything. I think the big thing is to reach out with partnerships. In fact, we're starting a CDL program, and it's going to cost $500,000 to do this program. It's only going to cost me $50,000 out of my pocket because the rest is out of earned income tax credit. So reach out. But what is it for you? If you're a truck driver, if you own a company, we've got trucks donated to us. They're donating like buildings and stuff. And again, but you can be the first one to pick our individuals when it's time to hire them because there's a need for that. So I think the big thing is not to micromanage. The other thing, when someone wants to work at the Career Center, and they come in, I will say to them, so you want to work at the Career Center, tell me in 5 to 10 minutes what you know about the Career Center. If they haven't done their homework, I don't want to be just a paycheck for you. I want to know that you know our school, you know a little bit about us, and you worked. And then I sit on interviews for like the elementary and the other ones, and when they interview and I'll say, you know, we're very fortunate to have a Career Center on site. What are your thoughts on career technical education? And if they come back with, yeah, that's good for those kids that aren't going to go anywhere in life, or then I know that's not what I want because you're going to influence the students in your classroom that we're not what you want. So again, looking at that closely. The other thing to let you know too is this is probably my last meeting because I'm going to apply for that $8,000 job. So I just want to let you know I'm going to go for that one. You know, I don't know what it is, the 8,000. Wow, you know, to do that. So.
If you would like to know something, I'm going to put a plug in for our next session. I'm doing one upstairs. It is totally interactive where schools will be sharing with each other what they actually do in professional development. We've developed 6 essential questions that relate to that. Lynn and Alice and I aren't going to say much. We're going to get them thinking about it, sharing with us, and we may get some ideas. And finally, I will tell you this. I worked with a gentleman. He was first taught for us for several years. After I got to the school district in my role, he was now our head of technology. And he used to walk into my office every day and say to me, my goal in life is to ring the bell at Walmart. That's my goal in life. He and his wife sold everything they had and moved to Arizona. Now, I'm talking 8 years later, I get an email from Trudy. Tim finally achieved his goal. He was a greeter at Walmart. That's what he was doing. So, some people like that. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
wait, we just have a few minutes left. I can tell you my second joke because I want you to laugh a second. This is a quick one too. These two boys, 5 and 7, were going to stay at their grandmother's house. So they were staying there the night. The grandmother sent them to bed. They went upstairs to go to bed. And the grandmother said, now don't forget to say your prayers. They said, okay. So the 5-year-old, 7-year-old got down on their knees, and the 5-year-old started, and he started saying as loud as he could, Dear God, I want a bike, I want an Xbox, I want a wagon. He was yelling at the top of his lungs. And his 7-year-old brother said, why are you yelling? God's not deaf. He goes, I know, but Grandma is. So anyway, enjoy your rest of the day.